see a boat out there. I don't know really. The blacksmith is offering a reward for a dog you saw on the road. I was hoping you'd seen it. You can all stay on the lookout. Keep your nose clean while you're here, outsider.
Come on in. You got warm food, warm drinks, and warm bed.
This is an ode to Skyrim's staunch protectors, the Imperials.
At some point we should hire Pick Loan here.
We drink to our youth.
Thank you.
Gone.
I wish I could afford to pay you both, Nari. I really do.
We'll drive out the stormcloaks and restore what we own. With our blood and our sun, we will take back our home.
That's a question I've asked myself for weeks now. Am I alright? Will she be alright? Was it wrong to come here? I'm sick. I mean, it would be fine if it was just a cough, but, well, my body hurts so much I can barely walk. And those are the good days.
But this land is ours, and we'll see it wiped clean of the scourge that has sullied our hopes and our dreams.
Oh, I've tried. I prayed at the chapel in Bruma, at the temple of Kenrith, and every shrine and altar along the way. I've prayed standing, kneeling, and prostrating to any divine that would hear me. Sometimes prayers aren't enough. Some things are just meant to be. Not at all. I took my daughter and journeyed to Skyrim in hopes of finding a cure. Yet not even a priestess of Kenrith can heal what ails me. I'm afraid now that we've come to Falkreath, I won't live much longer. I can only thank the divines for guiding us this far, and for showing my faith was not in vain. You're wrong. I believe the story will have a happy ending. I didn't always think so. There are times I knelt before the altar and wanted to scream at the gods. I wanted to blame them, curse them, but in the end, all I could do was weep. Yes, I plan to stay here with my daughter until our cave and we leave. I've already arranged for a plot of land, away from the trees, where the stone face ceased. Thank you. It's funny, when they told me about the grand cemetery at Falkreath, I was so worried it might be too large. I feared Henrietta wouldn't be able to find my headstone. But when we got here, I was relieved. The graveyard is so cozy, and the priest is a kind man. Henrietta, my baby girl. Bright, talented, and just enough of her father's courage to be brave without being fearless. She complains a lot too, but I forgive her. Which part? And here I thought you were going to say the complaining part. Not that you'd be wrong, but it'd be sort of mean to say. My husband passed away not too long ago. She reminds me so much of him. If she ever asked me what he was like, I would told her to just look in the mirror. He was a gallant man, and my best friend. Some would say we knew each other better than we knew ourselves. Is there something I can help you with? An alchemist told him about a magical plant that grows only in the damp forests of Valenwood. As a base agent, it can make a potion strong enough to cure any disease. Whether he found it or not, he promised to come back in a month's time for Henrietta's birthday. He never did.
This is an ode to Skyrim's staunch protectors, the Imperials.
It was a foolish thing. A romantic thing, but the two are often one and the same. What did he think would happen to Henrietta if he never came back? If not for the guidance of the divines, I shudder to think of the consequences. Yes, believe it or not. When I was sure Henrietta was fast asleep, I'd crawl out into the forest and just let it all out. But all of that anger and hate left me when we came to Falkreath and met that sad couple. Here I was, feeling sorry for myself. Yet my daughter is still alive. That's right. When I talked to Indara, I found out the girl they lost was about Henrietta's age, an imperial girl like her mother. How can that be a coincidence? How is that not the work of the divines? I believe she will. I've yet to broach the subject with them because their loss is so fresh. Or maybe part of me is just unwilling to let it go. But I've told Renil of my intentions. I am. I was afraid to die before, not knowing what would become of my daughter. I thought she would end up lost and alone, a child few people noticed and nobody wanted. Now my heart is filled with more trivial concerns, and I often forget how lucky I am to have them. I'm worried she'll forget me. She's just a child, and the memories she has now will soon be replaced. I know when she's older, she'll remember Indara as her real mother. It's wrong to think so, but it almost makes me jealous. I just want to be a part of her life, even when I'm gone. Well, these last few days, I've tried to tell her all the little things. The stuff she won't understand until she's older. How to brush her hair, how to tell when a man lies. The perfect recipe for apple cabbage soup. I thought, if I showed her all the little things, the big things would speak for themselves. She wouldn't have to wonder how much I loved her. Yet, when I talk to her now, all my words float by like dandelion clocks on the wind. By the divines. Why didn't I think of that? That's a wonderful idea. Thank you, stranger. I think Renil has a quill and paper he keeps for his journal. I'm gonna get started right away. And, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a small favor. I know she'll be in good hands with Indara and Matthews, but if you could look in on her from time to time, make sure everything's alright, I'd appreciate it. Truly, divines must have sent you to answer my prayers. Thank you again, so much. Yes?
I don't like it here. There's too many bugs. Mom says I'm getting a new mommy and daddy, so I'll have two of each now. Nari's funny. She tells everyone how handsome and pretty they are. Mom says she does it for tips.
I told him to go to Blaine, the army soldiers' months.
Yes? Keep a song in your heart.
A strong drink will chase off that chill in the air.
If it's a duel you seek, stranger, then I suggest you leave. I'm not here to fulfill your desire for pain, or free you from your wretched existence. At least, not today. Ah yes, and what, pray tell, do you wish to converse about, Politics, religion, my two favorite subjects. Perhaps you wish to discuss both. How delightful. But why bother with the foreplay? You seek vengeance for your loved ones, that's why you want to talk. That's why everyone wants to talk. Well, you're too late. I'm no longer a Thalmor. The clothes are just that. Clothes. I will not discard a perfectly adequate robe. A peculiar position to take, seeing that I have no side to speak of. If you are with the Thalmor, then I am no longer with you. If you are an enemy of the Thalmor, then I am no longer against you. Regardless, we are in no way in league with each other. Yes? All right then.
Welcome to Dead Man's Drink. Here, take a look at this. Here, take a look at this. Folks have gone missing the past few weeks. Word now is that our hunters are gone too. Say, if you're traveling, could you keep an eye out for them? Valder and his men, I think they were after Bear up north. The people of Skyrim don't like magic much, so about the only place you're likely to find a teacher is the College of Winterhold. You hear any juicy gossip in town? Be sure to share it with me.
When he met the shield maiden Matilda, who said, "Oh, you talk and you lie and you drink all of me. Now I think it's high time that you lie down and bleed."
That's where he met a girl in a small town by the start of his
As the brave lass Matilda charged in full seal.
He said the same. He told me it meant nothing, but it changed everything. He betrayed my trust and vow he made before Mara. But Mara forgive me, I still loved him. That was the problem. But I also knew I couldn't stay at Hammerfell any longer. There were too many memories. I couldn't look at the desert sands without thinking about the war. And I couldn't think about the war without thinking about that girl. So we moved back to Cyrodiil, to Bruma, a place without sands or oceans. Well, things finally began to slow down. It took some time to patch our relationship back together, but we made it work for 20 years. And in the meantime, I had Henrietta. Until next time.
And the braggart did swagger and punch.
Look!
If you work in the forge, remember, it isn't just the hammer that strikes the blade, it's the anvil as well. Oh, hello there. What can I do for you? Blades, gauntlets, I can forge anything you need. No, that would be Lodge. Big, burly fella. But don't let that scare you. He's a friendly sort, and loyal as a dog, both to the Empire and to Danebear. Although I suppose that puts him at odds with himself. I'm just an apprentice, and a wayward traveller like yourself. I'm actually on a pilgrimage to train under the great blacksmiths of Skyrim. When I'm finished, I'll return to my home in Cyrodiil, and hopefully apply what I've learned to the family business. It depends. I've been taught that emotions are a powerful part of smithing. When I craft a shield, I think of the soldier's child praying for a safe return. For a sword, I envision a man getting revenge for a brother's death. When I imagine a soldier marching after battle, or a hero vanquishing a great evil, that's when my hammer feels most inspired. Just know that I was a part of that it was my steel. It just takes your breath away thinking about it. Not just any family. Ever heard of the Starblood Forge? My family has been the caretaker of it for centuries. It was made not long after the Oblivion Crisis, and next to the old memorial and the Halo statue, it's one of the most iconic landmarks in Kvatch. They say it was built atop a well of Daedric blood, and it's in that well that the weapons are cooled. Some even say that the forge itself is haunted, specifically with the soul of one of my ancestors. Legend has it that when the Daedra invaded, she refused to leave her shop, smithing weapons for the townsfolk until the last man had fallen. That's why only those who share her blood can use the forge, and tradition is that the firstborn daughter would be the one who inherited. That would be me. It's an honour, I suppose. I know. Some people think it's the pressure or the burden of carrying on the family name, but the truth is, it's the clients. It's not like the Skyforge here. If I did over the family business, I would be crafting swords for nobles. They would be decorative art pieces, locked away in display cases, or mounted over their beds. I would be an artist more than a blacksmith. There'd be no blood on my blades, no chinks in my armour. That's not what I want. I want to craft weapons for heroes. I want to forge weapons that will slay tyrants, and craft armour that repels dragon fire. The forge is old and requires a lot of maintenance just to keep running. Plus it takes up a lot of land, and taxes are charged accordingly. Mother hasn't taught me how to work the Starforge just yet, but from what I understand, it's also extremely delicate. Selling highly decorative, high-end craftsmanship is the only way the business can survive. I probably shouldn't have used the word haunted. It's not like that at all. She's more of a guardian spirit. When it comes time for me to inherit the forge, there's a ritual. A test, actually. Like my mother before me, and my grandmother before her, I must craft an object that best represents my ideals and spirit. If the object is deemed worthy, it will earn its place in the Underforge, alongside the blades, shields, and hammers of my ancestors. That's sort of what this pilgrimage is about. I'm here not just to learn from the masters, but to learn about myself. At least, that's what I told my mother. The truth is, I chose Skyrim because of the war, and the chance to forge for true warriors. You know your history. Fact is, they took a lot of cities, Kvatch included. But my mother says they never would have held it. They hear her tell it, we would have taken Kvatch back, if not for the Concordant. And her blade would have killed a whole lot of Tonga. Still, the treaty did give us our home back. And if there's one thing the people of Kvatch know, it's how to rebuild. The responsibility of the forge will likely go to the next daughter in line, my sister Felicia. A fine choice. She's always been the more creative smith, dining in perfect pommels, hills that shimmered like Drake scales. Everything she made was beautiful, and it didn't matter that the blades wouldn't cut warm butter. Nobody would ever use them for battle. Alright. It's alright. Although we've got a lot less visitors after the dragon attacked Helga. That's what I enjoyed most, meeting all the travellers across the border from Cyrodiil and sharing stories of home. And now you're here, and I can tell just by looking at your hands that you've got stories to tell. I don't say. And by the looks of it, you managed to keep the wits about you. Impressive. I probably would have been staring at it. No, not just staring. I'd be completely awestruck. I mean, a dragon. A fairy tale come to life. That's what I'd be thinking right before I turned me to roast. Which is why you're an adventurer and I'm a blacksmith.
I need to ask you to stop. That's good. I'd be a lot warmer and a lot happier with a belly full of meat.
Did you see a hound on the road? Fine, strong creature that's been wandering near town. I asked the gate guards to look for him. I can't afford to chase him down, but could use a fierce, loyal beast to keep me company. If you are willing to retrieve him, well, may I give you some fresh meat for tracking him out on the road. Ah, it's smart to demand something up front. Some gold now, and someone I have my dog. Here's the meat.
How's business today?
Great. I even had some time left over to start on a special order. Here, have a look.
Isabel,
Yes, Lord.
that's a work of art right there.
I mostly deal with petty thievery, brother. I find your hand in my pocket. I'm going to cut it off.
Good to see you. Finally, someone useful is around. Yes, what is it that you want? You've proven reliable. There's a group of bandits in my hold that I may have had a few discreet dealings with. The cut they were giving me was good at first, but now it's time to clean things up. Go and take care of it. Good. My uncle Dengia was Jarl until a short time ago. His old age and failing health caught up with him, and he stepped down. He now serves us honorably as Thane, and to the great benefit of the hold, I now serve as Jarl. Difficult. I'm a Jarl. I eat the most succulent meat, drink the finest ale, and hunt with the best hounds in the hold. Meanwhile, my very capable steward sees to the needs of the small folk and ensures that my hold runs smoothly. Being a Jarl could hardly be simpler. You should try it sometime. Execute every last bandit. Spare no one.
Falkreath Cemetery reminds us that war is not new.
I'm the steward here. I serve under Jarl's. Sidgeir can sometimes act too quickly, but he does listen to Helvert and I. It was Dengeir who made me a steward, long ago when he was young. When Dengeir's health began to fail, young Sidgeir was appointed Jarl in his stead. It was simpler just to keep me as steward. Sidgeir has no interest in running his hold, and so leaves such matters to me. As for my part, I do my best to see that folk are treated fairly. Many battles have been fought here over the centuries. Graves were dug and monuments built, and the town grew around these. In time, Falkreath came to be known as the Heroes' Graveyard. Many noble Jarls and renowned warriors asked to be buried here. Falkreath's reputation has faded somewhat, but the graves remain, reminding us of the one inevitable truth of life. May wisdom forever light your path.
Greenhouse Coral of Falkreath is an...
Maven's gonna kill me. It's just a matter of time. Ah, you scared me. For a second I thought you were a hired thug. Yes, well, maybe. Let's just say I may have angered the wrong folks.
Call upon me if I can be of any service.
I probably shouldn't say this, but it makes no difference now. It's Maven Blackbriar. Now you know why I'm so scared. I used to live in Riften, and do odd jobs around town. One day I decided to ask Maven's daughter if she needs any help. It turns out she's an alchemist and needs someone to fetch her ingredients. Only the things she asked me to retrieve aren't worth the trouble. Giant's toes, Daedric hearts. How in Oblivion am I going to get those? Yeah, I thought maybe if I made it up to her somehow, she might forgive me. No, I'm not kidding. Ingrid might not care, but Maven's another story. That's the problem. I'm the one who would ask her if she needed help. It's not just Ingrid either. I have a habit of trying to please everyone, and doing all this work was driving me mad. I came up with this idea. I couldn't stop asking people for work, but what if they stopped accepting my requests? If I could burn that bridge, ruin it in such a way that Ingrid would hate me forever, then I'd never feel tempted to ask her if she needed help. Not really. Bolly would have given me some work, and maybe the snow shots too. Some people might even like the fact that Ingrid hated me. Problem is, Maven isn't one of them. I wrote her a letter, but it still wasn't nasty enough. Then I met this really angry guy, Puck, in Windhelm. I just scribbled down everything he said. All I had to do was change the name. Gave it to a courier about a day ago. It wasn't until she left that I realized my mistake. I've been on pins and needles ever since. Really? But what are you going to do? Once a letter's been handed to a courier, you can't take it back. Well, I guess it doesn't hurt to try. She was headed east, so she likely passed through Helgen. A lot of travelers stop by Iverstead before going to Riften. Maybe you can head her off there. Oh, and I forgot to mention, she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. I know that could describe anyone.
Someone new? Perhaps someone looking for me to mix something up for them? Well, my family back in Hammerfell didn't approve of my interest in lethal poisons and death in general, so I left and wandered north. When I found this town with its huge cemetery, I felt right at home. I opened the shop, and I've never looked back. This is where I belong. I know it's a bit strange. Not exactly a name to bring comfort to the sick and ailing who come to buy a poultice or salve. But what you must understand about Falkreath is that our town is defined, for better or worse, by the large and ancient cemetery here. That's why the inn is called Dead Man's Drink, the farm is called Corpse-like Farm, and so on. I suppose it's sort of a running joke. All right, then.
No, I'm thankful for the room and board, but maybe it's best to stay somewhere else. What if people get the wrong idea?
You'll meet a lot of tongue-wagging gossips in this town. Try not to take them too seriously.
You're going to have the men around here wrapped around your finger in no time.
Let me know if you see anything you like.
Well met. Unlike my brother, I have no dislike of strangers. Met lots of them while I was a Stormcloak. I was once, but not anymore. I was wounded in a skirmish up near Windhelm. This was years ago, mind you. Now maybe I don't pick up a blade in Ulfric's name no more, but I still hold with his ideals. Skyrim is Nordland, and we ought to rule it. We don't need no help from the Empire on that count. His name's Bolin. He's the one who works the lumber mill down by the river. If you meet him, don't expect much in the way of conversation. He ain't one for talking, especially with folk you don't know. Steal anything from my shop and you'll regret it.
I'd be a lot warmer and a lot happier with a belly full of need.
The god Orke was once like us, bound to winding mortality, but he willingly gave up this existence that we might better understand the vagaries of life and death. It is through the ebb and flow of this cosmic tide that we find renewal, and in the end, peace. May the spirit of Lavinia and all those who have left this world and its suffering know the beloved serenity of Aetherius, and may we one day rejoin them in eternity.
A sad time. Yes, and I couldn't tell you why. My wife and I think there's some dark magic at work. Perhaps Orke's influence is strong here, and he likes to keep it this way. Our daughter, our little girl, she hadn't seen her 10th winter. Sinding came through as a laborer. Seemed like a decent man. He's stewing in the pit while we figure out what to do with him. If you've got the stomach to look at him, what could drive a man to do something like this? She was. He ripped her apart, like a saber cat tears a deer. We barely found enough of her to bury. The cemetery is ancient. It's been here longer than the town. I'm no scholar, but I know that a lot of battles have been fought here over the course of history. After each battle, more dead were buried in the graveyard got bigger. I heard it's now the biggest graveyard in Skyrim. I just don't understand what kind of man does that.
My husband Matthias and I tend Porch Lake Farm.
Strangers like you bring war. I've seen enough war. These graves hold the sons and daughters of Falkreath.
Ghost is responsible for the cemetery here in Falkreath. War is not new to Falkreath. You have only to stand in our cemetery to see that. Oh, merciful Arcane, no. I'm too old and frail, and this graveyard is too large. Ghost is my assistant. He helps me tend the headstones and keep our cemetery clean, as befits a place of rest. Life is far too short, my friend. Don't waste it.
Nari's funny. She knows everyone how handsome and pretty they are.
Try not to judge Falkreath too harshly, visitor. The war has been hard on us.
I can't believe provincials like you wander Skyrim.
Mind yourself.
Heard about you and your honeyed words.
Don't think you've been bothering with me like I'm one of those damn shopkeepers.
I have to wonder, what does the Dragonborn do once he's summoned by the Greybeards? And if the one be taught, again he's skill.
Best offense is a good defense, am I right?
Citizen,